This is my confessional. All right.
I've never been more psyched.
I've never been less. So
Hello and welcome to Did I Do That? It's a podcast about graphic designers and the mistakes we make on the way to making something great, because it's all part of the process. I'm Sean Schumacher, and joining me today, a very special guest. They're a design leader who turned a childhood love of branding into a career working with the likes of Nike and Thesis, as well as a client roster ranging from Adobe to Oregon Humane Society to Planned Parenthood to Adventist Health and more. These days, they're a freelance digital designer and art director here in Portland. It's César Sierra. Hi!
Hey, Sean, how's it going?
It's going real good. We started off doing some ASMR, and I'm super curious whether that is going to make it into the recording or not.
Gosh, I hope so.
But it's truly a wonderful thing to start the day off, and what a beautiful day it is too.
It is. It is.
Another one of those days where it feels truly criminal to be locked into this, sort of dark space.
And we've got the asbestos to keep us company. It's all good. It's fine. The paint fumes and the asbestos will just get us through.
The two working together. So, lately here at the top of the show, we've been talking a lot about established brands. But today I want to give a little time to the little guy. And I really mean it. The little guy. Mm-hmm. I'm a little cat crazy. And it sounds like you're a little cat crazy too.
I didn't start that way, but I've got 3 now. Yeah.
That happens.
It really does.
They multiply.
Somehow. Quickly. Mm-hmm.
Well, I like in my classroom, I will live stream cats to keep people in the classroom awake.
Nice.
Mostly.
Mm-hmm.
We are actually being watched over right now by my copy of Catnip magazine. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh, it's really good.
Oh, wow.
It is.
It's a cover.
It is a really, really beautiful piece. I might actually hand it over.
I would
so
love
you
that.
can
Look
take
at
a look
that
at
cover, man. Listeners, you can't see this, but the cover, I'm holding a maroon brown, thickums.
It's so thick.
It's surprisingly. And we've got the lower, 2/3 is a square, a white border for sure, and it is the closest and most uncomfortable shot of an angry orange tabby you've ever seen, with a tiny little daisy in the middle.
Yes, looking for all the world like it was shot on Kodachrome and just like left in a bin on slide film somewhere.
Where did you find this?
This is made by the people who made Broccoli magazine. I believe I got mine at Higher Self.
This is something Higher Herself would have.
Various other sundry like art bookstores, I think, carry it, and it is really gorgeous. And there's also like, and it's probably hard to tell in this light, but there's like spot gloss paw prints all over it.
I wondered if you spilled something or if that was a thing.
No, that's a thing.
Wow.
And just like on random pages too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how production wise they did that.
Expensive is how they did that, man.
Like that was less than $30, that magazine,
what?
And I feel like they lost money on it.
They did. That is criminal. They're coming for you at some point. Okay.
Yeah, please. It's truly incredible.
Wow. It's beautiful.
But yeah, so like I've got a lot of cats in my life.
How many cats do you have, Sean?
I have 0 cats, actually.
Come on.
I'm trying to make friends. There's a big orange cat that's in my yard, trying to eat all the birds.
Great.
And I want to make friends with this big orange cat, but the cat will not. The cat does not desire the same.
You gotta respect that.
Yeah. So I want to slowly, try to at least, make friends with it. Maybe offer it some food, maybe. Sure. I don't know what that cat wants is the thing. I think what it wants is a squirrel, and I don't think I can provide that for it.
You're not thinking big enough. Clearly, you could get a squirrel, Sean. What's stopping you, man? Come on, the love of a cat. Come on, we do anything for that.
You know what? I probably could get a squirrel.
Don't get a squirrel, Sean. Don't get a squirrel.
I'm not going to get a squirrel. Please don't write in. I have no way
I love
to
all
realistically
animals
do
and
that.
pets. Please don't write in for me either. They're wonderful creatures.
I don't want to see what the outcome of that would be. Anyway,
don't get rabies, Sean. Sean, don't get rabies.
God, that would what a season closer that would be. Just me,
geez.
starting to foam at the mouth in the middle of an interview.
Just hydrophobic as anything.
I wanted to make friends with a cat. And I caught a squirrel, and
it's worth the furry belly pet, I promise. I promise.
That is such a furry looking cat too.
Oh.
But so all these cat things I feel like are culminating in something I found on Metafilter this morning. It is a company in China that has set up a bunch of public cat feeders with cameras in them. So maybe I need one of these to attract the big orange cat.
Clearly.
When I say a bunch of feeders, I mean a bunch. And they are all linked together through a website. And you can watch them.
Give me
And
that immediately.
here they are. I handed over the iPad, and it is a incredible site. Like you can click through different camera views of each feeder. That's kind of wild. But then on the sidebar, there's just dozens and dozens and dozens of feeders. Like a number of feeders that I'm like, I don't understand the economics of any of this. How did they make this work?
Someone's paying for this.
But the cats also have really fantastic names. I actually want to pull up Meow Camera on my end too.
Can we just leave this playing?
One of them is Mr. Happy and the Rats, which also my favorite doo-wop group. But like, I think that one is just because like sometimes there's rats that also eat at the feeder in addition to Mr. Happy. There's a lot of them are. Oh, there's ones that the fellas with in brackets badgers, so there might be badgers too. Mr. Yap, Mr. Gunk,
Wow.
Bob,
Mrs. Gucci.
of course, Mrs. Gucci.
Of course, Mrs. Gucci.
Let's see, Happy Canteen, Auspicious Restaurant. There's just like this, Mr. Sweet Pea and the Ducks. I'm like. I keep going back to that one, really hoping that I'm going to see ducks too.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like there's got to be some ducks. There's got to be.
This is wild.
It's truly like
Thank you.
so impressive.
What a gift.
Yes. So if you want to enjoy these incredible cats, meow.camera
Wow.
is the address to go to. Local time 2:16 in the morning where Mr. Sweet Pea and the Ducks are. If you are needing a little boost, as I was, this is a really great place to turn.
I'm watching Happy Canteen, and every time I click away from him and come back, he is still capital S scarfing.
Well, I think that's the other thing. Like I've been doing design for like 15 years. And I have never made anything as compelling to look at as an animal eating is. Like, it is so much more interesting than anything I've ever done. Like, not even close.
Wow. It's amazing.
Nature's great.
Nature's healing. There's a live feed of them eating. Oh wow! Thank you.
Some of them even have like lines that like form, waiting for other feeding like happens. I don't know. Maybe they're just coming there as friends and just like hanging out together. But
Yeah, I would.
yeah, it's also like maybe it's like cat IKEA and they're in the queue to get their Swedish meatballs.
Is there a lovers' quarrel once in a while in there where they decide?
There's gotta be.
Good like IKEA experience.
Yeah, I mean, the Mr. Sweet Pea and the Ducks. Maybe there's some sort of rivalry that happens.
Of course there is. Just betrayals.
The ducks need this food. They need this food to survive.
You don't understand.
Get out of here, Mr. Sweet Pea.
I'm tired of you.
You think you're tough?
We went through this last week. We're not going through this again. They start snapping.
Please, we need this rebooted West Side Story. Cats versus ducks. This is what we need in 2024 to feel anything at all.
Please. No, I'm already feeling for the first time this year right now. This is great. Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
But Cesar, you didn't come here to talk about cats, I don't think.
I can.
I mean,
is that an option? Can we do that?
I'm not opposed to it, actually.
Oh,
Maybe
man,
this is a very special episode. But you did prepare a bunch of things. You came here to talk about how you got into design,
Sure, yeah.
which from what I understand was actually kind of while you were a kid. You were helping out in your dad's print shop.
That's right. My dad had probably one of the 2 print shops in Old San Juan in Puerto Rico.
Really?
Yeah. At the time they come and go, right?
Yeah.
And most of them were doing what they call lawyer books and also wedding books. I didn't know lawyers had books in those days. I don't know what that is.
What is a lawyer book?
I was too young for it. I just know it was like, yup, another lawyer with a lawyer book. Okay.
It sounds official.
It sure does. I'm not sure what it is, but it was a thing. And yeah, my dad was mostly doing printing for that time, and he moved into layout once he started getting. So there was this company called Plaza Provision. My godmother worked for them, and so they would receive a bunch of American food and comestibles and goods that would be for sale. Hershey's, Campbell's, things like that. But they needed pictures, and they needed a magazine for it, and a catalog, really.
Yeah.
We were able to like take this American food, Hershey's, all this like candy and sweet stuff, and go take pictures of it. And my dad had a walk-in closet, and so that was the only place that there was no light, because it's Puerto Rico. It's an island.
Yeah.
There's sun everywhere except for this walk-in closet. So we would set up there and take pictures. So we moved into layout and photography. And at some point, somebody arrived and they said, "Hey, can you make me a logo, an identity?" And my dad just kind of froze. And he looked at me, and I've been clicking away either at a Nintendo 64 emulator, and I stole the pieces playing Harvest Moon 64 in the corner, or, I was out here with like, what's it called, MS Paint back in the day. I would just sit there, because I would be there for about 8 hours at a time on the summer. It's just day after day after day. And so I was just out here drawing. Bless him, he's printed out some of my MS Paint drawings, and he still has them in the hallway. It's great. I'm like, Dad.
That's a painful era to revisit.
It was a lot of like my summer reading. I was like, I'm tired of reading about this. Let's draw it. And he'd be like, amazing. Let's print this out. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, so he was like, yeah. Hey, Cesar, can you, do you know what a logo is? I'm like, you have some logo printing books under the printer that I go into. He's like, yeah, bet. Here's the business. What do you think it looks like? I'm like, huh. All right. And I think the first one I did was just a stick figure strong. Like, I think it was a drafting company, and it was a stick figure sitting at a drafting table with a very long single stroke pencil, right? Just one line. And he was like, all right, let's run with it. And so he showed it to the guy, and the guy was like, yeah, all right, that works. Let's go.
Sold your first logo.
I didn't sell a damn thing, Sean. I just got a pat on the head.
I mean, that's more than I've gotten for some of the things that I've sold.
Truly. From there, I got into this existential rabbit hole as much as you can be at 12 of like, what is a logo? How do you get to these really cool images that like represent an entire history and, clientele drive the reason for a company to be.
Yeah, well, and it's so interesting that your dad like was already kind of tapped into like it shouldn't just be a symbol or something like that. It should be like what's the meaning? What's the connection here?
What's the thing?
And like that's a big question to throw at a 12-year-old.
It was so casual for both of us. It was so casual for both of us. After that, I moved from Puerto Rico up to New York City. Went to Pratt for a couple of years. From Pratt, I moved down to Athens, Georgia. I was there for about 8. And then I came out here. And then out here, another existential crisis. And I was like, what am I doing? What am I here for? I worked coffee for about 12 years. And in that time, I just kept coming back to design. And I kept coming back to, I'm actually really good at this. And I'm not good at this. I'm comfortable at it. Because with designers out here being like, buff nails, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And so I was able to come back and get into PNCA and really dive into the intricacies of like like driving towards logo and design as an adult, right? Not with your in the back of your dad's shop, not at a Kinko's machine, like trying to get the best copy out, but actual like, let's sit down and talk about this surrounded by your peers and your the mentor that is going to be your mentor for like the next semester, and explain your decisions.
Yeah. the hardest stuff to do.
Oh man, yeah, truly. So I did that for about 3 years, and from there, I'm going to say the word existential crisis a lot because it's art. It's art, Sean, right?
The most existential of places to be. I mean, other than philosophy, I guess.
Right.
That's fairly existential.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah,
but it was. From there, it was this big question of like, what do I do with this, right? There was people that were just diving right into agency.
Yeah.
And there's those lucky cats that are like, they're not even out yet, and they're already diving into agency. Folks that are not even out yet and already with a production company. And I didn't think I had the chops for it. So I went to freelance immediately.
Really?
Yeah, just dove right in. I didn't think I could do the. I just didn't think I could. I had it. I didn't think that I could make my case well enough to do so. I didn't get into agency until later in my life, and I was like, oh shit, this is what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I could have been doing this at the start, you know? But no, I dove into small businesses right away. I felt really empathetic for the small business owner, like my dad, right? Who needed a design, needed identity, who just arrived at the printer with, my 12-year-old told me I need a logo. What? And to this day, it's my favorite client is when they arrive just covered in business paperwork and tax ID numbers and business stamps and legalese. And they go, here's a really nice picture from a field trip my kids took in the 2nd grade. And it's actually my favorite picture of them. Can you make this be the logo for my business that has nothing to do with this?
Ooh, wow.
I love it. I love it so much because it tells me that this for them, like these are the two loves of their life.
Yeah.
Is the job, their work, their life's work, and this beautiful picture of a moment in their lives. Put this together, smash this together. Everyone's going to love this as much as I am. And then we have to step back and start talking. Okay, great. Let's put the picture down. This is great. Let's keep this here. This is beautiful. Let's keep this there. Why are we here?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this work? Who is it for? No, it's not for everybody whose money is green, because you actually don't want everybody's money. You super don't.
That's
promise.
not going to be successful.
No. You know, like, why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? What are you waking up for in the morning? All right, great. We got our story. What does that look like for font? Who are your competitors?
Yeah.
Who's doing the exhausted? Sean, if I had a nickel for every therapist's office that wanted like sage green with a tree and like roots and people coming out of like blooming out of the tree trunk or blooming out of like the branches, or like, hey, can I have a hand with a dove? Like, all right, let's take a step back. Why? Here is a small presentation I made of every hand with a dove logo that exists right now.
You won't be able to see any of them because there's 8,000 of them on this page.
Man.
Each one is less than a pixel in size.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally, right? And so it's a conversation. And that's why I really love branding. It's a talk. It's a chat. It's a like, let's get to the grain, to the nitty gritty of why you're doing what you do and why you love what you love.
Yeah.
Is that serif or sans serif? Is that italics? Is the whole thing italics? Is it a big fat slab serif? Right.
I mean, I love one of those.
Sure, you know, like once a year I get away with a copper plate, you know.
I'm a big Clarendon person myself.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah, give me a Clarendon any day.
Classic. Nice. No, I have a project right now that uses entirely Garamond. The whole thing, headlines, body copy, every flavor of it, and it works.
I mean, it sounds very classy.
It's lovely. It's a poetry book.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, of course. Right. The whole thing is just like off-white, all of it, not 00000, but just like the whole thing is like a beautiful shade of cream. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, and so that's why I love branding, and I think getting to the nitty-gritty, tiny like kernel of truth or kernel of love has been why I love doing what I do.
Yeah.
And it's a chance to take a small business owner that is so wrapped up in everything they're doing. I'm like, all right, let's sit down, let's talk about the thing. Bloom before me. Show me why you love this. What about this color palette? Let's talk about imagery. Let's talk about how your love speaks. What is the tone of it? How does it look on paper? How does it look on digital? How does it look every 5 minutes on social? Doesn't need to be on social every 5 minutes. The answer is no.
Probably not.
Dear listener,
no.
The answer is no. What is it going to look like in 5 years? You know, love changes. You know, why you do the thing that you do every single morning is so different from day to day to year. What does this love look matured?
Yeah.
You know,
finding that abstract way into that photo rather than trying to make a life trace of the photo.
Right. Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Please no. Please no. Have they removed that aspect in Illustrator yet? I haven't used it in decades.
No, it's still there.
Yeah. Well, but that's not to say that big brands don't have their own soul as well. They totally do. It's incorporated.
Yeah. But like, I think that makes sense. Like you're like growing up with your dad's print shop, like you were in a small business, you're like working with small businesses, and like in a way, like just having that inherent like in with that mindset is so important to be able to work like those small freelance jobs. Like
definitely.
I do want to back up a little bit.
Let's
though.
back up.
Because like once you get to kind of college age, you are off to Athens, Georgia, and then off to Pratt. Like how did that happen? What was the trajectory there?
Well, my mom is from Brooklyn, born and raised. And so when we were looking for colleges to go to from high school, I could stay in Puerto Rico. My dad was very gung ho for me stay in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has wonderful design schools. And my mom was like, well, what about Pratt in New York City? We've been to New York City plenty. You know, I mean, it's an hour and a half plane ride away from Puerto Rico. Of course, I've been to New York City.
Really?
You know.
I didn't realize it was that close.
Oh, it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Yeah. The exchange rate is incredible.
Wow.
Between people, you know. But
getting between things on the East Coast seems so much easier than out here.
It kind of is, though. It kind of is. The next major city is 3 hours drive. But
and a rough 3 hours too.
It is, though. Yeah. It's a hard highway.
That last like hour into Seattle is unpleasant.
1,000%. And three hours south is also just as perilous as well. It's
perilous. And then you're in Medford.
Oh man,
no one wants that.
Oh, not
sorry,
at all.
Medford.
No, I'm not. No, it's but Pratt. So Pratt was I got into Pratt. It was my first time overnighting away from the house. Altogether,
really?
It was New York, damn city.
That's a big shift.
It was a shifty shiftums for sure.
Yeah.
And I did 2 years there, and how do I put it? Two things happened. Somebody asked me what my pronouns were, and that set my world a tizzy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And then the other thing that happened was that I couldn't really fit. Right. I mean, it's New York City. Who fits in New York City, Sean? That's the point of New York City. No one fits. Everybody fits because we're all wretched. It's fantastic.
It's a Tetris game of a city.
And yes, and realizing that you are not one cookie cutter that's supposed to fit into this pattern, but instead everybody's wonky and weird and everyone's fitting in just fine, I think was another existential point that I had to reach eventually, but I wasn't quite there yet, and it was overwhelming. It was a lot. I also fell in love. And yeah, and so at the time,
that's about as much of a game changer as anything.
truly. And at the time, the person I was seeing was like, well, I'm moving to Georgia. This is way too expensive. Athens, Georgia. They were going to Lamar Dodd School of Art.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I said, well, I mean, I got into Pratt. Let's see about transferring, right? I got down there. They got in, and I did not.
Oh, no.
But here's the thing. I didn't ask why. And later on, I would make friends with the faculty because my partner at the time was in school. I was coming by to pick them up. I was kicking it, whatever. Yeah. And then the halls of it and whatever. I made friends with the director at the time. He just happened to walk by. He was a black man. And he walked by and he was like, I don't see a lot of people look like you in these halls. Hi, I'm so-and-so. What's your name? And I was like, oh, my, and we made friends. He was like, you want to audit some stuff? Come audit. Like, just do it. Do the thing. Had a blast. Started modeling there. Also had a blast there. And then eventually I got to know the admissions counselors. Just coffee table sort of talk. And eventually it was like, hey, can you look up my file? Why wasn't I accepted? And they were like, oh, because we got a blank page for your transcript.
Oh. Oh, no. That's almost worse to know the rejection reason.
Yeah, truly, I didn't know. And if I just said, oh, can you try the fax again? It would have been a completely different story.
Well, also, why were they accepting faxes? What?
And the odds were hard to all of us. The odds were hard. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. I made wonderful friends there. I got to hang out with a lot of kids from the Lambda Center, the Lambda section of UGA. Made lots of queer friends there. There were plenty of late night L-word watchings. I found my community. I found a good community for sure. Started performing as a drag king there. Had a great time. And eventually started to seek testosterone for transition. And Georgia was all but too delighted to tell me no. Athens was.
Yeah.
At the time, here's a little bit of lore and a little bit of history. At the time, compounding pharmacies for testosterone were few and far between in the country. And wherever they were was where there was a big community of trans people, at least for testosterone.
Yeah.
Portland was one. I think Philadelphia was one. And I think New York and Florida was one, but don't quote me on that. That was just kind of talk of the town, rumor mill, what we had. At the time, we mostly had transition videos on YouTube to look forward to, and the errant, page or website, which is not to say that this is a new phenomenon. This is ancient, right? But we had the internet to connect now.
Yeah.
And so Portland had at the Q Center had a
Oh, yes.
had a trans night that you would come in and just as a group talk to each other. This is early 2000s, and I said, let's get out of here. And I, this was many partners in between. I moved with a partner at the time, and we moved out to Portland. I lived in Vancouver, quickly moved to Portland, and had a wonderful time, and it's been here ever since. And so while I was here, this whole time, design's been an errant part of my life. It's always been a constant, small contracts, small businesses here and there, but nothing solid. And after being here for about 5 years, I was like, all right, what y'all got for art schools?
Yeah.
I looked around. I applied to PNCA and Art Center, which brings me to the piece of work that I brought you today.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed.
Yeah, you were really hyping this up before we were recording.
And truly the hype was because I got a little dizzy this morning when I saw it. I was like, oh God, this is it. This is what it needs to be. I can't get away from this. I have to. So, man. This is my confessional. All right.
I've never been more psyched.
I've never been less. So listen, this email is titled Forward. César Sierra's portfolio for fall 2011 advertising, and this was going to Art Center, artcenter.edu. What I decided the world needed to see as an example of my work was a redesign for Jiffy mixes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, indeed, that is a correct tone.
That's Jiffy mixes. For those of you who may not remember them, the boxes have been basically the same, I would guess, since 1935.
It's why they're so cheap. Like literally.
They're a very weird size, and they have some of the least appealing photography of any food product.
It's about that old. Truly,
they might be the last food packaging really truly printed with like offset plates that are older than I am.
They look like it.
So you're redesigning Jiffy mixes.
I've decided that this is what the world needs.
This is absolutely
100%. I am a hammer. Everything's a nail. The first nail will be Jiffy.
So you were making this project anew for your portfolio that you're submitting?
I didn't have a portfolio to speak of.
Oh, you had nothing.
I had the drawings that I've done over the years. I had some work from like the small businesses I'd taken care of that I just didn't think were good enough.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our value as artists probably starts with ourselves and the importance and the value that we give and the rights that we lend ourselves to make art that is heard and seen.
Yeah.
I know that and that sentence because I did not have that sentence or that information for a long time. That is not coming out of the ether. That is coming out of a lot of like, I'm not good enough. Actually, hey man, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to, and they're probably going to suck at it.
Yeah.
So I thought Jiffy. So, man, oh man, dear listener,
what inspired this? I have to ask. Because it's not where I would necessarily think to go.
Real talk. I was a barista and I was working for, service, right? It'd been like year, maybe like 6 or 7 working service. And at most you've got some tips, and I've been working food service for forever. While I was working on the design, I also had food service as my this is how I'm paying rent.
Yeah.
Right. And Jiffy was probably one of those quick mixes that I just grabbed off the shelf. Just, a staple of my weekly, I need something for breakfast. It might as well just be these cornbread. This cornbread mix.
You're familiar. You're diving in.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Oh, man. Okay, great. So my submission for my portfolio was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 slides. And I've decided to not only rebrand Jiffy, but do an entire ad campaign for them in grocery store, in shelf. I wish the listener could see your face right now.
How many of these 8 slides are devoted just to the Jiffy?
Oh, all of them. Portfolio, no, our center. You get a pitch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now it was me and Illustrator versus the world. Okay, that's what this is. We are outlining all the fonts. We are completely departing from the established brand. We are making a swirl, not a swirl, but an almost like a Coca-Cola swoosh.
Okay.
Almost white Jiffy on top of it, all lowercase, all a cursive font, which we all like know how to. Man, I wish the listener could see your head just cocking side to side, and like you are giving me the benefit of the doubt. I never would.
You're making a great case for this to be
I'm
a video podcast.
so glad.
And with the listeners' financial support, we can make that a reality. Please,
For just 10 cents a
please
day,
give today.
you can see my trash work. So, man, oh man. Okay, so I started off with a 10% off coupon for Jiffy. Jiffy, dear listener, is like $1.10.
Yes, I would dare say that it's probably within the past 5 years that they've crested above $1.
100%. So let's start with a coupon, my friend, right? For 10% off only if you buy a carton of milk and a dozen eggs to go with your Jiffy mix. So don't get wild on me here, okay? You're making this tonight.
Yeah.
So
hard to know how that money goes back to Jiffy in that particular scenario, unless they're really, really diversifying their business.
Oh, geez. All right. Okay. So we start with the coupon. That coupon is on cartons of milk and a jug of milk and a carton of eggs. All right. Starting off strong. Here we go. Oh, man. I'm just going to take a breath before this one. Okay. I've got the Jiffy flavor roulette, Sean.
Oh,
that's right. That's right.
Interesting. All right.
And
Gamifying Jiffy.
Oh, truly. I'm not sure if you can see this atrocity. But what we have, dear listener, is what I can only describe as a rectangle with Jiffy at the top in its famous quotes, because the brand insists on the quotes. Right beneath is flavor roulette in all caps. And it says, spin the wheel, see what's for dinner. And so we've got 4 columns. Each one is a different color, of course. One spicy, sweet, savory, and mix. Now, each one of them has a little wheel.
Thank God I don't have to just pick one.
No, of course not.
Wow.
Now, listen, you are at the grocery store. You've got kids running around you. You've got all the overstimulating sounds of a grocery store. But you're going to stop at Jiffy. No one stops at Jiffy for more than 5 seconds.
No.
Let's be real. You're there to just find the atrocious box that you're looking for.
Is this do
Don't
you
sue me,
imagine this
Jiffy.
as a device?
There's a stand, my friend. Yes, it's a device to start with. No, this is a Jiffy experience I'm bringing you here.
This is an elaborate end cap.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You spin these wheels to figure out in this roulette what your dinner will be. And then beneath the roulette, I've put in the tagline, Jiffy can handle these flavors. Can you? I am nagging the viewer with all of this. I love that you're covering your face for me as if that's going to help my decency. Dear listener, it doesn't. So, all right.
Jiffy can handle these flavors.
Can you? Sucker? Like, no.
Wow.
Coward, come here. All right, so we've got...
We will fight you!
Oh, okay. So
come at us, Betty Crocker! You have nothing on us.
We are armed and ready for you, dear viewer. We are ready. Your dinner doesn't know when it's coming to it at all. Oh, man. So we've got a descriptor right beneath it in case you were wondering what the flavor roulette is. And I've written in a small cardboard box will be placed 4 spools, of which one end sticks out of the front of the box. Using this end, the consumer is able to flip through the list for each flavor profile, assembling a dinner with any of the Jiffy mixes available. In addition to being an in-store display, the flavor roulette also doubles as an interactive feature on the Jiffy website and as an app for smartphones, capital S, capital P.
There's just some New York Times style guide energy to that.
Watch out, Wirecutter.
Yeah.
The Jiffy roulette's coming for you.
You can also access it by e-mail.
Oh, man. Okay, so then we've got a, grocery cart print ad, which I imagine to go on the side and on the front on the little bumper of grocery carts. I don't know if I can describe this to you well. So we've got... Oh, jeez.
The eye rubbing, I'm not sure is coming off on mic, but it's very visceral.
Man. So, like I mentioned, it was me and Illustrator versus the world. And so we've got Jiffy, all lower caps in a cursive font. Right beneath that, in the most illegible cursive font that is possibly coming to you, it says America's favorite for 75 years. Now, Sean, I want to show this to you.
Oh.
That is the brownie mix, right? Oh, that is kind. So we've got fudge in the top right corner, right beneath the word brownie. Offset is the word mix. Mix is in red. This whole thing is in cursive, by the way. And right above it are two brown bricks. There is no texture. There is no gradient.
No.
There is nothing. There is outlined in black is the top kind of skin of a brownie, right? It gets a little darker inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Sure. Right beneath it is a thick slab of lighter brown and then a bottom layer of dark brown. And they're stacked one on top of the other, two of them.
One big problem with this piece of packaging.
Just one?
Just one.
Just one.
Just otherwise perfect. Doesn't seem to say the words Jiffy on it anywhere.
Oh, no. That's because it's on the
Oh,
other
of
side.
course.
Right there. That's my brand. That's my logo right there.
You know, I don't hate that.
You don't? I do.
I've seen much worse.
Wow.
It's honestly not dissimilar from what they currently have, I feel like.
We love a departure.
The illustration, though, is certainly a problem.
Oh, it gets better because there's the corn muffins.
Oh.
Now, and that's CMYK. That is 0000 is what's happening with that CMYK.
Yeah.
For that
just
cornbread.
yellow on yellow.
Of course, on yellow.
Yeah. And I think with the pan too, it certainly creates a very cheesy vibe. Like the pan is some sort of gray Swiss cheese. The cornbread also has like the little, like in like the Pokemon cartoon when they have like rice balls and there's like that little piece of seaweed on top. It's sort of that, but like all yellow.
All of it.
It's very yellow.
Yes, the whole thing. Because these images, dear listener, are sitting on a yellow circle.
Yes.
Right. So we've got these I don't even know how to describe these brownies or the color of these brownies, but these two brownie bricks sitting on a beige yellow circle. So the cornbread is, gosh, I just took a quick look at that and just saw some overlapping lines in there that are atrocious. I could not be convinced to just go in there and take those points and drag them together, but that's fine.
I'm also like, how long did you have to make this? Like, ultimately,
Is this like a rush? Too long. Probably. God, I hope so. That is such a sweet question. That is such a kind question. You're like, did you have 2 hours for this? No, I think I busted this out probably in the space of like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. That's very kind of you. Your students must love you, but no, Sean, no, not at all. That's so sweet of you, but no. So we've got this massive cornbread muffin, and right next to it and behind it is a gray rectangle, and in there I've made little circles, 6 circles. Offset in them is a yellow circle to show the batter.
And the most appealing thing to look at in any baked good.
You want to see that.
Yeah,
let me tell
very
you.
much so.
Let me help you envision that. So, gosh, what
does it look like? Goo?
It's just a disc.
Oh,
nice, friendly, flat disc, like you want your cornbread.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh man. So I gave taglines.
Oh please.
Oh no.
Please hit us with those.
Okay, wonderful. So we've got just this once. Don't ignore the quote unquote optional step in your next recipe. We dare you. Jiffy, America's favorite for 75 years.
Your copy is very menacing.
I am negging for this whole campaign. We've got Jiffy can handle most of the ingredients in this cart. Can you, as we previously established? Come at me, Jiffy. So then we've got, sure, you could follow the recipe on the box, or you could, in italics, the most menacing italics, you could add something. Period. And then beneath it, just a suggestion. Jiffy, America's favorite for 75 years. We're not done.
Just a suggestion.
Just a suggestion. The sarcasm.
Wow.
All right. So then we've got.
There's so much to these.
Oh,
That's the other part that's kind of wild.
Golly. Okay. All right. Great. I'm saying great at what's to come. So we have a grocery store recipe card display. Sean, Jiffy mixes have the recipe on the box.
Yeah.
You just flip that sucker over.
I don't think I've ever seen a recipe display in store. Ever.
Let me think. Let me tell you, I was a big thinker at the time.
I guess I've never seen a roulette wheel of different baking mixes either. So maybe I shouldn't be too harsh on this.
No, please. So we've got gosh, here we go. Oh, great. Oh my God, it was 2012. Okay, here we go. Recipe cards on display alongside mixes on shelves, period, because that's a sentence. The recipes will be revolving, displaying recipes otherwise found online.
Oh.
During social media contests, the winning recipe of the month will be displayed till the next contest winner is chosen. Okay, all right. Roll up your sleeves. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. So we've got Hush Puppies, the card. So we've got our beloved yellow on yellow on yellow on yellow on yellow cornbread muffin.
Yes. From the distance that I'm at, it just purely looks like a circle.
Good.
Just a yellow circle.
Good. That probably would have been better.
Yeah.
So we've got Hush Puppies in this like oldie-timey like font right there. It's white on red.
Doesn't even feel in line with the rest of the brand that you've
No.
established.
I just busted this out.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No. Defont.com really got my back here. So in Arial bold, all one font, like all one size, we've got the ingredients. Really, Sean, it's just one list of ingredients that says stir all, mix all ingredients until well mixed.
Oh.
Drop into hot oil and fry. Drain and serve. That's the recipe card right there. You're going to pick that one up, let me tell you, at the grocery store, because you're at Jiffy level.
It's hard to remember all those steps. I mean, it seems
100%.
really complex. I'm laughing so hard that I'm actually crying now.
Oh, good. We haven't even gotten to the pièce de résistance, okay? Because I think I'm going to hand you the phone at that point so you can describe what you're saying.
Okay.
Because this was the one. And next to it is another card for frozen toffee cream pie using the Jiffy brownie mix.
Okay. I'm interested.
No, you're not. No, I promise you don't want to be. Not at all. Not for this one. So we've got the filling and then the crust. Now, the way I've lined these up, like margins are non-existent. Margins are a suggestion at this point, right? From my life.
Margins are for closers.
What? So we've got the ingredients for filling and crust. They're offset. They're not even on the same line. We've got a 2-column recipe. And then for the instructions, we've got all caps filling, how to do the filling. The all caps crust is kind of in between both columns and like in the center because we need to leave enough space for the big old logo right beneath the ingredients list or right beneath the instructions. And I'll show you right there.
Oh.
These are stacked about as well as the brownies in the illustration.
Is hard to read.
Yeah.
I would say is even from this distance, but not. It's a dense layout. Let's put it that way.
That was a big gulp.
Yeah,
that was a big gulp.
That's a big gulp. Call 7-Eleven because that was a big gulp. That's density. Density is strong in that one.
Breathing space is so overrated. So overrated at this point. Now we've got a brownie mix box die cut. I mean, it's about as I mean, at this point, I've taken you to ride a journey. Okay, all right, okay, deep breath. So I made I don't even know where this ad would live. It's not even 16 or 9 by 16.
I mean, based on the copywriting that you're doing, I'm imagining that all the campaign would exist like during professional wrestling matches. So it's very much that vibe.
100% between rounds.
Yeah.
That card that's like ding, 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 round 1, like whatever. They're actually flipping that over. Jiffy can handle this mixes. Can you, sucker?
The Rock gets into the ring with Jiffy tattooed on his chest. It's perfect.
Ding, ding, ding. Okay. You know what? At this point, I'm gonna hand you. This is the ad. Here we go.
Okay.
Here you go, Sean. Give it a shot.
Oh,
It was like, I want to say that was like 5:30 in the morning the day before it was due, and I was really scrambling. I was like, clearly this isn't finished. This application needs something else.
so you're kind of starting to see this disaster as it's happening.
100%. I remember I finished it and I took a step back and I was like, what did I just spend the last 3 hours doing?
It's
Are you kidding?
I don't understand.
Oh man.
There's motion. I'm gonna call out the good parts here. There's a clear sense of movement because you've created sort of a roadway of ingredients. Do the ingredients go together to form anything? No. There's a jalapeno and then there's a single kernel of corn that's so big. Bigger actually than the onion that's two steps away from it.
Oh man.
And all that leads to just some random strips of bacon.
Oh man, that is so clipped out so badly.
Very
Oh man.
very, very confusing. And then there's just sort of a circle of red, an inner spiral of another pepper into another pepper, into a strawberry, into God only knows what that is. Is that a Oh, you know what? That's powder. That's like chili powder is what that is. That's
100%.
it's a small circle of chili powder
100%.
With an onion in the middle.
Yeah.
Jiffy mixes can handle all this. It's you we're worried about.
Yes.
I've never heard a more antagonistic tagline, and we've heard all the other taglines. It's you we're worried about.
It's you. Listen.
What's in your mix? Like it feels like there's a top of this ad that has the Jiffy blue and red, the same logo type you've been doing, of course, the circle of cornbread, indicating that this is cornbread mix. I mean, this would be a very curious cornbread mix.
Oh my god, the whole thing's curious.
And that has its own tagline, but all the area below, which is just on white,
just stark white, stark flat white.
Like you know, it's kind of like evoking like a 1960s magazine ad for like Volkswagen
100%.
amounts of white.
100%.
This is so powerful.
It's powerful.
But it's like two completely separate things going on. I don't understand.
Oh man. Yeah, that's okay not to understand, Sean. I was
so this is the last dash, essentially.
Is it though?
Let me
see.
Oh god.
Did I do anything
I'm actually
else?
concerned.
You should be. I'm sure. You know,
you were, at this point, like you said, you are feeling it. You finish this and you're like, I don't know.
I don't know about all this.
I don't know
I don't know about
anymore.
all this. Oh, here we go. Well, there's one more. There's two more, because then they had the audacity to write back and say, but we want to see your process. And if I saw this hot mess, at my big age at this point, I'd be like, how did you get here?
What? Yeah,
What happened?
I mean, I guess that is literally maybe what's happening.
Sure.
But also, it's all one project.
Oh yeah, real multifaceted here. So
it feels like it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah, man. So there's that one.
Oh.
Yeah. So there is the other ad that I had proposed there, and it is, I think I used the brownie mix there in the center. It's a stripe in the center.
You did, yeah.
With the box of my Illustrator versus the World rendition of the box of brownie mix. It's on a black field, listener. It's on okay.
Black
All
being a
right.
very clearly established color in
That
this
is
palette.
0000000 black.
Yeah.
No mistake. On it in all caps, ignoring any semblance of margins, any semblance of order. There's no story here. It is just add-ins, walnuts, raspberries, pecans. What else is in there, Sean?
You're forgetting the most important ingredient, which is, of course, love.
Did I write love?
You wrote this is actually a single line directly under the yellow stripe going all the way across. Sea salt, love, bacon. Followed beneath, of course, by ribbons of caramel and chunky peanut butter.
Oh shit!
I don't.
Oh my god!
I'm
so glad you're a loss for words. Is this new?
This one's really got me. I think more raspberries is misspelled too, which is like always wow. This is like this is double struck type, so it's like it doesn't blend.
Oh man.
I'm really kind of puzzled by like what's going on with the ribbons of caramel and chunky peanut butter, because it looks like maybe each line is set in its own separate text frame.
Oh, 1,000%.
Because they're not leaded consistently at all.
No, not at all. No. This is thrown in there.
Yeah.
Just smattering of it with the same consistencies as chocolate chips falling into a bowl of mix. Like about as many letting.
That makes me sound interested.
It's as much letting as I gave it.
Wow. This is powerful.
Stop it.
And this was this the final slide, or was this the process?
No. This is final work.
This is the final.
This is the final.
Okay.
The process. Oh man, I'd never been asked for process before. I didn't know the importance of process, especially when it comes to like receiving work from somebody. How to get here, because that's when you see the fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's when you see they're like, hey, what's this doodle up there? Can we actually explore that a little bit more? Totally, bless them.
Why?
Why? How did we get here?
Yeah,
dear
exactly.
reader? Yeah, absolutely. The process wasn't bad. It was mostly just the haphazard sketches you would expect from somebody trying to get into art school and trying to figure out what an advertising campaign was without an idea of what this should look like.
But there were sketches.
So many sketches.
I mean,
so many sketches. I never heard back.
Ooh. Yeah, so they followed up to ask for the process, and then it's
just dropped off communication, and that's okay. That's okay. I feel the need, dear listener, to specify that I do indeed know what a margin is these days. I know what consistency of type means. I am aware, dear listener. I got into Nike somehow, and it was because I knew one or two of those things. I promise.
Well, now we're going back into the chaos era of design. So double struck type is going to be all the rage. You'll be all the more prepared.
Oh, I'll be set. Great. I'll be ahead of the curve. Trendsetter. That's the word we're looking for.
Exactly. Trendsetter. So you have this portfolio, you submit it to BNCA, and you get ghosted.
I submitted to Art Center.
Oh, you submitted to Art Center.
Art Center, and I got ghosted. But at the same time, I submitted to PNCA, and PNCA sent an email originally that said, inviting me to apply, because I guess I'd entered like a pool of like, hey, I'm looking for more information. You know, when you're applying for schools, and some of these websites at the time would just like click here and click here and click here, all the schools you're interested in.
Yeah.
And I did, and PNCA was in there. And they wrote back to me, and I thought it was a form letter. And then 2 days later, they write again. They're like, hey, did you get my email? Just want to see if you have any questions. And I was so surprised to hear from an actual human in this whole process. And I was like, oh, you're real. Oh, hi. Yeah, this is my work. And they were like, great, let's take a step back. Show me some photography. Show me some sketches. Show me your base work. Show me what's going to get you into foundation year.
Oh, so they're actually trying to
get me in there,
coach you into what they need.
It was really nice.
That's great.
It was a human hand, and I had not received a human hand in all this at all.
Yeah.
And I'd just been ghosted.
Yeah.
You know, so at that point I was able to pull back and be like, oh, actually I do have watercolors. I have sketches. Here's my charcoal work. Here's my landscape, human, figure drawing.
Yeah.
And I was in hook, line, sinker. And I did about 3.5, 4 years there. It was wonderful.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's where you're really getting into design properly.
100%. PNCA at the time, we were in the old building before we moved into what is previously known as the INS building, but it's no longer, and it's now the building that it is now. It was probably what I wanted, because at that point I was able to notice that Pratt was very ahead of its time. The most brilliant of thinkers were in there, and I want just not to say the same of BNCA. Brilliant teachers that to this day, like, I'll be working on things. I'm like, oh, Martha Lewis, thank you so much, right? But there was definitely a big difference between the avant-garde approach of a giant ancient institution that was Pratt versus the 15, 20 student classroom of like PNCA that could kind of hold you all together and be like, give you that individual attention.
Yeah. And
from masters in their work. No, it was really, really nice. And also I had these teachers that were able to level with us about like, here's what, you know, my failures in work look like, or what my rough areas in work look like. Here's what one client didn't work out, and here's what it looked like. And you know what? I lived. And I moved on to do fantastic work, and I'm here before you teaching. You know, I felt that a lot of the teachers, at least at the time that I was with at Pratt, were really out of my reach. Here were teachers, I mean, the person who designed Jeep, the logo for Jeep, was one of my teachers at the time, or he was involved with the process. And he was just so far away. Like in that, like, oh man, how am I ever going to get there? But PNCA was able to really humanize the process. And it was the first place that I heard that a lot of times a designer's journey is not just agency from top to bottom to the day you die, you know, like nothing else. Martha brought somebody in who I asked the question of like, you know, how reliable was your career? And she was like, oh, no. I was a designer. I was a baker. I was a videographer. I was a typographer. I did book covers. And then I went back to baking, and it was terrifying, Sean, because there wasn't the consistency of our parents' careers.
Yeah.
And then instead it was the like, oh, this is what I make of it. Oh crap, this is what I make of it. You know? Yeah, and so I'm really glad I went with PNCA. I would fully recommend it. And it was quite, or not quite, but it was personalized enough of an experience that it felt good to go through and feel like a human through it, you know?
And to really feel seen in like where you wanted to be as a creative person too. Like, I mean, to go back to like where you were at the beginning, like, you know, talking about wanting to work with small businesses, like that's exactly the kind of life it sounds like Martha is leading, and that's like a good,
definitely,
you know, a good mentor to be bringing you into it.
100%. Once in a while, Martha Lewis still likes my Instagram post. I'm like, oh, Martha. Hello.
Hi, Martha.
Hi, Martha.
So like you're going through the program at PNCA, like you're learning like not just design skills, but like knowledge about what it actually is like to be a working designer in a city like this.
Definitely from my teachers as well. Yeah.
Like, what do you start to do as you're like kind of finishing up?
I think one of the projects that I did towards the end, there was two projects that really stand out that like to this day have actually informed a lot of like how I approach design. One of them was to a very seemingly innocuously looking brand an event. Simple.
Very simple, very important, I think, for this town, especially too.
Totally.
Like that's getting into the beginning of the era of like activations being a big thing too.
100%.
Yeah.
So, but I'm from Puerto Rico, right? And so as with colonized islands, you're oftentimes telling your own culture, right?
Yeah.
And so I did the Festival of Rums in Puerto Rico. I mean, we're known for rum production, sugarcane production. We can get into the world of colonialism and why it's that way, but we'll truncate that a little bit. And so I did the Festival of Rums, and I did it for returning, because at this point Puerto Rico was starting to realize that a lot of its youth and a lot of its professionals had left the island, and so they were trying to attract them back. It's just starting to. And so I thought that we were going to do this Festival of Rums with an aspect of here's the Puerto Rico you remember, which is very different from the Puerto Rico we sell.
Oh,
because it's a Puerto Rico I know.
Yeah.
Right. It's the old San Juan that sounds like the screaming from like, you know, of orders from like the inside of buildings. It sounds like bad mufflers and reggaeton and screaming kids. We sell the aspect of these beaches. We sell the ideas of this idea of a Puerto Rico that sells its own culture using its own people with these smiles that are plastered on them, but there's no history, there's no story behind those smiles. That's somebody's cousin, that's somebody that looks exactly like me. That's just trying to make ends meet and trying to smile through the day so we can get your pina colada, right?
Yeah, the travel service industry is very dehumanizing.
100%.
Yeah.
Recently, Puerto Rico put out an ad recently that was live the Boricua life or something, but Boricua comes from the word Boriquen. It's an indigenous word for the island. And so they featured a white family on the beach enjoying their time, and Puerto Rico just lost. They're like the design sign of Puerto Rico, like kind of, what is this, right? All together. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. I designed this to be for the person returning to Puerto Rico who grew up and raised in Puerto Rico, born and raised, and is like, oh, maybe it's time to go back. Maybe go back to like the old San Juan I know, right?
Yeah.
Old San Juan also being in the metro area, being the capital. There's so much more island takes place outside of this, but whatever. So I presented it, and nobody got it. Nobody understood it. I was the only Puerto Rican there in the class. I was selling a Puerto Rico that nobody else recognized.
Yeah.
You know, and that was when I realized, like, who are you designing for?
Yeah.
And who are you presenting this design to? And it gave me this moment of, while I love working with a small business owner to get to the heart and the crux of why we love something, we still have to take that and not present it as the thing we already love, but present it as a reason of why you should love it too. Right? Is this somebody who's brand new to the island, who's actually brand new to the rest of the island? Is this somebody who's not new to travel to other countries outside of like United States, or, you know, who are used to a different type of flavor of tourism and of exploration? Who are we selling to, and how are we speaking to them about it? To this day, it still echoes in my mind, that project. And I don't think it was meant to be all that, but I just remember sitting in front of my teacher, this isn't really hitting Puerto Rico. And in my heart, I clutched my pearls, because that's my Puerto Rico. Yeah. But that's not the one he knows. That's not the one the rest of my classmates know. And it was this moment, I mean, there was all these feelings involved in this, but I was like, actually, no, wait, how am I presenting it? Who am I presenting it to? Oh, I brought this whole thing down.
Well, no, but that's so crushing to be the only person in the room that actually knows Puerto Rico.
Sure.
And to be told that that's not
the one that sells, you know, but it's all of us, right? That's all that's all the things we love. When we love something, we love it so much. The most crushing thing, the most terrifying thing of making art is putting it out there.
Yes.
And that's why, right? Is because you love this thing. You sweat blood and tears over this thing. And then you put it out and nobody has sweat blood and tears over it too. They're just passing by it. It's something it's a billboard for that gets like 5 seconds of view. It's a 30-second ad on Instagram on something that took months to make and that you love so much and you understand all the intricacies. But in how you put it, how you present it, is one thing, and knowing that's life out there is another. And that's where you have to put your own love, your own sense of importance, and your own sense of value and worth into your work. I put that out there. Right? You're not waiting to hear the standing ovation for a Jiffy rebrand.
The Jiffy execs are standing and clapping.
I'm sure they are right now.
Someone's paying attention
Absolutely.
to our brand.
The cease and desist letters are not being made right now at all. You know, but you have to put your own love into it. And that was definitely one of the moments in my career or my my schooling that I was like, oh, it is what I make of it. It's going to be what I make of it. And I can't expect everybody else to make of it what I'm doing too, or what I'm making of it too. Yeah. It has to. It has to stand on its own. And let's see, after that,
I mean, it feels so isolating. Really, like what your experience was with that project, like
but art can be really isolating, right? When you're kind of stuck in your own head and you're trying to make the best of it. And also, I'm not from here. I'm born and raised somewhere else, and so I'm trying to hold on to this feeling, this song, this like essence of where you're from, while living not where you're from. I'm very far away from home, you know, and all of us who are far away from home can have that experience. That's why we seek community. That's why we talk and we interact with community, to remember where we're from, right? And remember that this is important not just for me, but for other people too. After that, I went on to be my first gig as an in-house designer.
Oh, really?
For somebody, that's right. It was a fintech startup in town, just getting off its feet. Insert, a fundraising round number here, right? And they said, hey, we need a brand designer. I was like, that is me. And they said, we need brand guidelines for a brand and marketing design. Clearly I could do marketing design. Clearly I was set. Brand guidelines. And so I remember I busted out the brand guidelines. They approached it as this might take you months. But in my mind, I was like, just say where the logo works and where it doesn't work. And that's it. And we're set. An X over busy backgrounds and move on with your life.
Yeah, you get to make all the fun, don't use it here.
Right. But that was logo guidelines, not brand and identity guidelines, right? How does this brand speak? Well, how does it not speak? How does it look like when it's speaking to angel investors versus established investors versus other like B2Bs versus like potential blah blah blahs? Like, how does it speak to clients? How does it speak to the financial advisors it was trying to attract? I just made a quick little PDF. I was just, okay, all set. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, you probably hadn't talked at all about that in school.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I was just kind of going and just trying to figure out what it was. And it was like, well, here you are. And they were just like, oh, all right. Well, off to marketing design you go. We need a PDF. And I worked there for a while until I got my layoff. That was the first layoff I ever got. From there, I decided to sit back, go back into my food service days while also taking care of small businesses, because I tried to make small businesses my bread and butter, my rent makers, but I found myself rushing the process.
Yeah.
You know, and rushing folks through. Of course, we have a timeline, we have agreed upon dates upon when things are done, but suddenly I felt the constraints of wanting to see this project through to the end and really explore all the options it could go, or all the ways it could go, versus, all right, rent's due.
Yeah. And that's the hardest part, is like you're trying to, because I've done that like trajectory too. And it's like, do you have the time to actually invest in making this as good as it can be? Or like, because I would often do a flat rate for that. And then I would be realizing like, oh, I've actually whittled myself down to like $3 an hour.
Right.
With how much time I've put into this already.
100%.
And like, it's almost worse when you're billing hourly for those kinds of clients.
Yeah.
Like,
It's going to stack. It's going to stack up.
Yeah.
And that sticker shock's a thing. So instead, I decided to focus on, I went to my first cannabis conference. And I made this little card that said my name in the front, and in the back it said, in the outline of a weed nug, it said, your brand should be as dink as your product. Now listen, this is the green rush days.
yeah.
I mean, dispensaries were popping up looking like, just brick and mortar buildings with like a banner on the outside that said weed here.
Every vacant auto body shop or
100%.
warehouse.
100%. I was like, y'all need design. So I designed for a couple of spots, and it was all right, but I would get sober later on, and working with, as an enjoyer at the time, and working with also other enjoyers, there were a lot of loose ends to projects, shall we say.
Yeah.
And so eventually I got out of there, worked some more freelance as well, returned to food service as well, coffee shops, making me a cup of coffee. And eventually I was complaining to a friend that I didn't think I was hireable anymore. Like straight up, I was like, I've been away for so long. I really want the consistency of a W-2. I don't think I got it. And they were like, hold on. And they put me in contact with two of their friends who worked at Thesis. And what started out as a conversation turned out to be like, great, applications here. I'm like, whoa, oh, all right, let's go.
Oh, and it's just happening.
And they were just like, great, we have openings. Here you go. Here's the application page. Thanks for the conversation. Let me see your resume.
Wow. So you went from feeling like there's no place for me
100%
in like studio or agency environments anymore to like
now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Wow.
Submit it before midnight. Let's go.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
Splashed right into working with Adobe Acrobat. And Adobe Acrobat had a very specific issue at the time, which was there was a tension between like client and us, because it had become a conversation where it was like we would arrive and the conversation was a little tense because they would already expect to not be understood, and we expected not to be heard on what we could achieve, how, with the timelines, a deluge of edits with no conversation in there. And I kind of stopped and I was like, how's everybody doing? We good? So-and-so, did you have a show recently? I start stalking these people on LinkedIn. Oh, this person's a musician. This person has kids. This person has this person. Hey, how's that show?
That's somebody who's worked with like small clients before. Yeah,
for sure. You got to talk to these people.
You got to humanize.
You got to, Sean. You got to.
Yeah.
We're people with our own messes. We're all going through the same 2020.
Oh God, this is in 2020 too.
Well, in 2019, I think, or just approaching. No, 2021. It was 2021. So we're all digital. We're all sitting hunched over our Zoom cameras. No one's expecting to be understood already. We're coming off of lockdown. Boof. And so I was like, how are we doing? I started having what I would later realize was fairly inefficient, but I felt like it was very humanizing for a time when it was really tense. We had daily stand-ups in the morning. Everyone would come in. I was like, I'll be here 15 minutes early if anyone wants to shoot the shit. I don't want to talk about anything about work. We'll talk about anything but. And we'd start joking and laughing. And then 9 a.m. hit. All right, guys, what are we doing today? You know? And at that point, my team lead went on sick leave. And we didn't have a team lead, but I was a senior designer, and in came a junior designer and a mid-level designer, a freelancer. And they were like, is it you? And I'm like, shit, yeah. All right, let's go.
I'm in charge by default.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And I was like, all right, let's go. And so, yeah, like
that's great, though.
It was wonderful. It was a great opportunity. I still talk to most of those folks. Yeah, and so then we started just having conversations with client meetings. And these were like a breakneck pace of like every other day we had something to deliver.
Wow.
Every other day was a meeting, like 3 times a week. And we got it done. We got it done and we got to know each other. We got to joke around. Me and my copy lead, Sean Harris, who shout out because they are brilliant at what they do. We kind of tag teamed in these meetings. We both had ASMR voice. And so, you know, we would knock back to each other and be like, all right, back in the studio, Sean Luis, what's going on with copy? You know, they loved it. They ate it up a spoon. They loved it. They loved it.
You're basically doing the thesis morning show.
Kind of felt like that. It felt like that. And it was great. And so by the end of it, we've gotten laid off. We got outbid by another agency. And it was the first time that I'd heard the conversation. You were all providing the best work we've ever gotten from a third party company. Ever. This was
wow.
Acrobat telling us, like the creative teams, including the creative director, including the project managers, the marketing heads, all of them. But unfortunately, this is beyond y'all's work. This is the money that's talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know? And we were all crushed for each other. You know, we've been through Max, Adobe Max. We've been through all of this. We turned this whole stream around. And that was it. And that was probably the first time that I was like, getting laid off not because of your work quality. You know, I mean, essentially getting laid off is that. It's numbers speaking over your work quality. And I think I saw it happening at other places and other layoffs that I'd received, but this is the first one where it was made so black and white, like, this isn't y'all. I promise it's not y'all. The numbers just spoke for you. And that was probably my first taste of no one will remember the overnights you pull at work other than your kids or than your partner, right? Or than your family.
Yeah, that's so true.
That was it. I left there. And that was when the dark happened. We were talking earlier. How rowdy it can be when you are so used to creating work and work that feels good. And suddenly a layoff happens and it's crickets. Yeah. You start sending these application outs and people are taking months to get back to you.
It is so terrifying to be like, to have sort of made that leap and to not be able to see the other side. And then like you maybe have a sense of where you can latch onto, and then it's just not there. Yeah. And you know, that like for me that was I want to say 2017, and that was, you know, not a rad time. No. For sure, because you know, it's like I have a life. How do you actually get to that next bridge? And you're going in for your 8th interview with a company that you're like, is this the last one?
Yeah.
And then they just ghost you. And you know, that is so maddening, that process.
Gutting. You start wondering if it's you.
Yeah.
You start wondering, like, am I just not hireable and just got this out of a fluke? But then you remember your successes and your other jobs. And you're like, what? Something's not adding up.
Yeah.
It got dark in those times. And so after that, about 3 months in, Katie Beamer, who was the project manager with me at Thesis, knew that at Nike they were looking for a digital designer.
Hey.
And so she contacted Nike. Nike contacted a recruiter. Recruiter got to me, Matt LeBlanc, who does share the namesake. Amazing man.
So not the
no,
Matt
not the. He gets that a lot.
The star of Lost in Space.
Not him, but he is a star. He's incredible. He's incredible. He was like, hey, want to work at Nike? I was like, I called my parents and they were like, are you sure it's not a scam? I was like, yeah, Dad.
Matt LeBlanc just told me to wire him $50,000. Now his account is in Paraguay. But he says that that's for good reasons because that's where they filmed the movie Lost in Space.
Of course. It makes sense. It makes sense. I just have to send him a little money and he's going to send me the rest.
And when I do talk to him, he does use the voice of the computer on TikTok.
It's really cool.
That's just, they just clean his voice up on the shows and in Lost in Space.
It's going to be
that's
fine.
just normally how he sounds.
It's going to be fine, Mom and Dad.
Like the TikTok video voice.
Yeah, 100%. The genderless one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be great. No, Matt's lovely. He really prepared me for my entry. And when my parents were like, "Are you sure it's not a scam?" I was like, well, they gave me an @nike.com email address. So, and it's working. And they were like, have you received anything at that email? I was like, not yet. And they're like, bless them. So, started working at Nike. And until now, I've been an art director. I've been a graphic designer. I've been an in-house marketing designer. I've done UX and UI with Adobe Acrobat as well. I've done some illustration. I've done a wonderful rebrand of Jiffy.
Of course.
The
most important of all.
Of course. My crowning achievement. I've taken, small business owners by the hand and taken them through their process. I've done all of this. And now this was my production education was in this. And giant corporation, a giant campaign landed into Air Max right away. And
that's big. That's a big place to land.
It is a landing spot for sure. And the last digital designer had left to start a very charming and beautiful career as a tattoo artist. Because they say that in Air Max, you work there until you find your life's passion. That is it's called the Air Max jinx or the Air Max curse almost. Where you go into Air Max, you start working there, and then you find your passion. You're ripping me from the chest, from my heartstrings passion. And it's happened countless times.
Wow.
You find it and you're calling and it calls to you. It's just a thing. We don't know, but it's happened time and time again. It's explained to me many times.
It's just some special kismet of that project is sending people out on their true life's journey.
Literally true life's journey. It's been beautiful.
Maybe I need to work on Air Max.
I would recommend it. I would. It's an adventure, Sean.
Matt, get back to me. I loved you in Lost in Space.
I'll let him know. So, this was when digital design, right? You're thinking, great, I'm going to make pretty pictures, and no, sir. And suddenly I was waiting with open arms for what art directors and designer ones and twos and senior designers were creating this incredible imagery, this mind-bending work with other agencies, like other video makers, other illustrators, a whole team of external people, and they're directing the work. They're saying, okay, can we turn this person over? No, I don't like the look on their eyes. Can you switch it for something else? Can you put the ball over here? Can you use this uniform? There's a whole team of people dealing with imagery and artwork, a whole team of people dealing with styling of these people, multiple levels of approvals. Of course, it's a giant corporation. This is how it do, right?
Yeah.
And then there's me holding my hands out, waiting for final imagery. Because once we receive that final imagery, I go, okay, great. This is beautiful, fantastic. This whole journey, this is going to go on Instagram. These pictures are going on Instagram. These pictures are going on email. These pictures are going on an app thread. These pictures are going on .com. These pictures are going blam, 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 blam. And I'm kind of holding a finger on the marketing pulse because I've got marketing requests coming in of okay, we need these executions. And I'm like, fantastic. What dates do you think that's going to come out? All right, great. What dates are the images going to come out? Okay, great. What's the story we're going with? Great. We're not going to overtax on that picture because that's by that point. Once we hit this point in the journey, people have already seen this picture way too much. They're going to start ignoring us. We got to bring in fresh stuff right here. And of course, this is all with the guidance of my creative director, the VP of creation, or of the VP of art and creative VP. My goodness.
I mean, the VP of creation sounds extremely popular.
Oh, what was his name? Dave Frank. Great person. And every time he just would come in with crit, be like, oh my God, why didn't I see that before? Of course. And it made perfect sense. Masterclass in education, crit giving and listening and making changes and what is actually being seen. Totally amazing human. So, you're hearing from 15 different departments on what you have to do and what needs to happen. And so you're holding all of that in. And then I also have my digital producer at the time who's like, great, fantastic. Here's your deadlines. This is when we have to show. Next 2 days later, we're showing this. 3 days later, we're showing this. 4 days later, we're showing to this team. When we're taking crit from that team, we're going to apply it here and here and here. This team is waiting for here. We've got geos. They're waiting for things to translate and are waiting to see things to make sure that they can translate. Like, does mad ready translate into angry and prepared in China? And, there's all these moving pieces.
Yes, this is a global campaign.
Yeah.
God.
Moving pieces galore.
Wow.
And me and my digital producer are kind of in a very special, unique spot of just holding our hands out, waiting for the images, watching the images as they're being made, as they're being created, adjusting wireframes, which I'm setting up, making those wireframes flow in time. So like if we've got an image for the first phase, is that same image going to work for phase 2? Or are people sick of it? Well, how much has it been on Instagram? How much has it been on TikTok? Is it going to work for TikTok? Because TikTok's mostly like handheld videos, nothing produced. Shit, do we have a behind the scenes work? Where's the behind the scenes person? Okay, can you come in? Can I see your behind the scenes work? I know it's not official. Let me see. Okay, great. Boom, 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 boom. All these. Oh, man. And so we got Air Max 2023 out. And it was done. And we're like breathing. Okay, great. It's done. I mean, when I came into Air Max 2023, it was mostly done. It was at that point of like, hey, can you switch this picture out for this one for this one, this one for this one? Okay, great. Fantastic. Here you go. I did a little World Cup work for the offshoots of the World Cup. So there was a set of shoes that were going to come out for the World Cup. Did some work there. Very exciting. Very cool. And then Air Max 2024 started. And they were like, listen, I don't think you understand. This is the 10-year anniversary of Air Max Day. I was like, oh, there's a day.
There's a day?
I am not a shoe head when I'm getting into this. Everybody at Nike, most people are shoe heads. The gallery, the Paris Fashion Week that it is to walk into Nike campus, because everyone's just dressed to the nines. Portland Grabby Chic has no place here.
Matt, you may not want me.
Man, I mean, you've got people who did bleach their shoes that morning. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, to the nines. I learned very quickly to dress to the nines along with it. And so there's a day. It's the 26th of March is Air Max Day, right? And it's the 10-year anniversary of it. And the company is really banking on this, doing a lot for them. So chop, chop. We're in it from the beginning. This is my first Air Max run from the start. It's like watching a Rubik's Cube be solved in real time on one of those competitions.
Oh, yes, that's...
And they're doing it one-handed.
Terrifying.
And it's just constantly moving. You're like, oh, you got it. Oh, my God, it's purple now. Oh, it's red. Okay, great. And it's just going. And there's constantly new faces coming in and out of who are the stakeholders as they take their piece and run with it. It is wild. And I'm just like, okay, images go here. I got wireframes. Y'all let me know. I'm so ready. And so then, sketches come out. First rounds, second rounds. Petra Collins gets called in for this. They got Budapest to film. We get BTS. We get imagery. It's not final. It needs retouching. Okay, it needs retouching again. Dates for retouching get pushed. They get pulled. They get, okay, well, stuff needs to land on this day. And I need at least one day to author, which means to submit the wireframes to be considered and to all right, there's a 1 pixel line on this side that needs to be adjusted. Things like that. Dates are coming up and it's like watching a candle burn at both ends between deadlines and delivery and making it perfect. At one point we had things were due the next day. It was 12:30 the day before, and I was sitting at a table of copywriters because we received the feedback that something needed to change, something major needed to change. And the head of copy, Dudu Viola, was like, no, this is going this way. And I was like, that's really, really nice. This is due tomorrow. And he's like, we're going to do it right. And I'm like, okay, Dudu, let's go. All right, man, I'm falling into battle. Let's go.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he did the thing. And I remember I'm just sitting at my table, at my desk. And, the partitions at my desk are a little lower. They're about eye level. And I can see Dudu in the corner talking. And they're in there. And I'm like, oh, man. I'm working with my coworker. I'm like, they've been in there for a long time. And he's like, they got to figure it out. And I'm like, I'm watching them, man. They've been in there for so long. And they finally come out and Dudu's dancing. And he's like, change it to this. I'm like, okay. So I'm changing all the wireframes, getting it submitted, going out to my production designer, Jeevan. I'm like, Jeevan, it's this. It's ready. We got to change this and this and this and this. Okay, here we go. Okay, send it out. We got edits that we had to change one more thing. Okay, send it back. Let's do it again. Let's go it again.
Oh, God.
We're down to the last minute and it's out. And they go, great. That was phase 1.
That was phase 1?
That was phase 1. Let's go to phase 2, 3. And then let's do spring. And then let's do summer. Do you see this temple? Do you see how it's a little hairless, a little more hairless than this one?
Perhaps
It's coming back.
worn down a bit by...
It turns out this stress affects your hair growth.
Oh.
Yeah. No, it's just playing. But yeah, no, it was a thing. But then March 26th came, which is the last phase of it all. Well, before spring, before summer. But it was the day. It was the day of Air Max. It's the day when people wake up and hit refresh on the Nike.com page to see what's the latest shoe. We've been teasing it this whole time. We've been drumming up this excitement. We've been picking the cadence of images. Is this too much? Do we show the sneak peek first, and then the technology, and then the story? What order do we get this? We've scrutinized over this tirelessly. I mean, I had my corner. I can't even fathom, of course I can. I watched it all happen. I don't even know.
That partition doesn't go high enough.
Not too terrible. I mean, we're right next to each
been able
other.
to.
We're right next to each other. And then the 26th comes in, and then the 26th at 5 a.m., everyone's up and watching it go live. And then I see everything go live. I'm like, oh shit, that picture could be better. I'm like, wait, hold on. Here's this new send, something more updated or something that's cleaner or something that's a higher export. Let's try this. Okay. All right. Are we good? We're set. And then the silence of a job well done. Just nothing. Your Slack goes quiet. Your phone stops buzzing. And then you switch from Slack to Instagram to see everybody react. And everybody's loving it. And everyone's loving it. And it's happening, and you're seeing your coworkers kind of quietly chime in and react, like they're just one of the crowd. And then the 26th, I go to work and I go in, and we're all just sitting there just on our own computers, just watching Instagram just react. And you feel your whole body just relax. And you realize you did it okay. It happened. It's over. You can breathe.
Yeah.
There's no sleep like that one. There's no sleep like that next day. And then they go, all right, guys, we got Holiday 24 briefs. And you take a deep breath and you go for it again. But by then, I've been laid off.
Oh.
It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. So for now, I saved up my little pennies up for it. I have some work lined up. I'm working on some brands and some rebrands and folks. Small businesses again.
Yeah.
And so it's been a moment of just kind of remembering what the sound of your own breathing in a room is like. Not hinging on Slack. I went to a barbecue yesterday with all my old coworkers, and it was wild to see everybody again, and remember the trenches you were in. Literally, doing the thing. And, those critters are taking a deep breath and seeing if their contracts get renewed or, what the next thing is. And you're just kind of a little bit more removed because you're laid off, but you're still hanging out with the people that you blood, sweat, and tears with and over. And it's just this moment of wow, holy shit, it's done. All right, good luck with 24, man. I'm thinking about camping.
Wow.
Yeah, man. But it is wild. It is wild. It is beautiful. It is a machine. I don't know where to go from here.
Well, I mean, you were saying earlier, it's that Air Max team where often there are those big life moments that happen to people. Do you feel like you are kind of still in the middle of the whoa?
For sure.
Trying to feel out what the next thing is?
Oh, definitely. I've got a couple of leads, right? I truly love finding the nugget of love and the nugget of truth in all work. And so I've got a couple of brands that I'm working on and with small business owners and really finding a lot of joy in that. I've considered teaching charcoals and teaching drawing.
Hey, I mean, that's great.
I specifically to black and brown queer folks who might be coming at this as I don't know how to art, and it turns out we've always known how to art. Yeah. I love that. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was also in the trenches with me, and I was like, man, at one point I looked at my partner and I went, what if I just stopped design and just started cutting hair? What if I just started cutting hair? And the person that I was talking to goes, oh my God, I had the same freak out 6 months in too. I was like, what if I start doing cuts in color, baby?
Wow.
And both of our partners, respectively, were like, whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it cutting hair? Let's go right now. Let's see what Aveda's doing. Let's do it right now.
Yeah.
Surely. They're like, holy shit. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go for it. Do you want to practice right now? Here. That's okay. I have these Fisker scissors. We can try.
Yeah, they're the kind that are plastic all the way around. And
Garfield scissors.
Garfield
Let's go.
scissors. Yeah.
Let's go. And yeah.
They are very rusty now that I look at them. But still, I mean, I bet that could get through some hair.
It just means you can hear the cutting better. You know it's effective. I think I'm still exploring what that is for sure. I think the excitement of big companies and big industry like this is one that's beautiful, and it really connects you with your peers and the people you work with. Because when you're working with small businesses and you're kind of like their designer, I've assembled teams for people for sure, and we all work together. I've got a web designer, I've got a photographer, I've got all these people that I'm working with. We get it done. We do the thing, and then we disperse and we do our own things. But with this, you're kind of connected to these people. You're trauma bonded to these people for life, right? I will see any of these critters walking down the street. I'm like, oh man, we did the thing.
Yeah.
We did the damn thing, And I'll do that from, with my time at Adobe, my time at Thesis. I saw you interviewed Joe Carolino, and
oh yes,
incredible human being. I'm not sure what my next thing is, Sean, to be real. I will continue to brand and design for small businesses at some point. I might do something different, and I'm not sure what that's going to be. I am definitely open and, out here waiting for what might land. I am, along with all the rest of the layoff critters, sending those applications, seeing what's out there. But I think for right now, it's about breathing. It's about what it's like looking at my phone without Slack, and being okay.
Yeah.
Not being in the rat race for just a couple minutes.
That's important too.
Yeah.
It's really necessary to have that room to breathe, and just find where you want to be. And I also want to call out too, a part of how we first started connecting on LinkedIn was your layoff post. Mm-hmm. When you announced your contract was ending, which LinkedIn is chock full of these days, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Taking away some of the joy of visiting the weirdest social network out there. Surely. But you were maybe the only person I've ever seen that's made one of those posts that has also offered to help other designers with feedback on their portfolios, and that is such a generous and giving thing.
That's kind. And also, I don't think of it as kind of generous and giving. I just, in times of chaos, you find the helpers, right? Yeah. I'm not sure who said that, but it's a quote that I've heard floating around on some Pinterest board.
I think it's a Mr. Rogers quote.
Is it really? Yeah. Oh, that's tender. I know how rough it can be to find that the rug that you thought was solidly under you is no longer there. I watched people who'd been contracting for 10 plus years. The person who mentored me when I first arrived, this was a guy that'd been there for 10 years. He interviewed me. I sat next to him to do my work. When he'd hear me cussing under my breath at something because I didn't like how it was looking, this man would drop what he was doing to come look and see what was happening. I remember one time I was trying out different wireframes and different crops. I was like, God, this looks like shit. And I thought it was just to me, and just drops something. He's like, hey, buddy, what's up? This infinite optimism. Hey, guy, what's going on over there? You good?
Yeah.
No. And so you'd be like, you're doing fine. Let me see. Oh, that is a lot of work. Let me see. Okay. I see where you're going, And so when the layoffs happened, we're all kind of shell-shocked coming into work the next week. And I was looking at him and I went, do you have a site? Because I remember trying to stalk him a little bit to see I'm interviewing you. Who are you? And I found, one of his Behance pages. I was like, do you have a site? And he was like, I haven't really needed to. I've been here for 10 years. Shit. And I realized that was the story across everybody else. Other people either hadn't touched their website in for so long because it's a stable company. They didn't really expect it. They've been here for so long that they didn't really need to. They thought they'd be here for much longer, so they hadn't really updated anything. Also, I worked at Squarespace for a couple of years, and so I was doing the customer service side. So I'm used to receiving people panicked with a new like platform to them, freaking out, be like, what is a block? And I'm like, hi. Hi, let's take this one to stop.
I made a MySpace about 15 years ago. Is it like that?
Yeah. Where do I put in the HTML brackets? I'm like, let's back up. So I was able to go into like, we had a little chat going of all of us, and I said, hey, I have Squarespace experience. I also have cargo experience. If you need some help looking at things, and suddenly like all these people were like, oh my God, great. Can I put you on my calendar? And I was like, oh shit, y'all are freaking out. Oh, we're all freaking out, And that's when I went to LinkedIn and I was like, hi, I am one more person getting let off. It happens. It's going to keep happening. It's totally fine. It's going to keep happening as a career. It's fine. Who needs help? Because I've known how rowdy and how dark it is to just have, like we talked, for things that you thought were solid to get out from under you. And everybody says, I've got some money saved up. But the thing about getting laid off and not having a job is that you wake up with a ticking clock in your ear. And that is the clock of your money running out versus how long people are taking to get back to you versus endless rounds of interviews. And all this adds up to a very scary math of, am I going to be able to pay rent? What's my run rate? And so through all of that, I can't guarantee you a job. But I can make you feel better about the work you put out there. I can help you enter an interview proud of your work, interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you, and you looking for the right fit because you know your work is good. I can help you feel that.
Yeah.
And so in that post, I said, if you are a creative that's looking for portfolio help, are you a brand that needs help, like starting over? Are you suddenly starting your small business and you need some help there? Let me know. I've got an open calendar. Let's go. And wouldn't you believe it? And that's where I started out. A number of people said, I am an ex-strategist, marketing designer, all these things. It's time for me to start my own agency. I've got way too many celebrity connects. Let's do the thing. I received copywriters that said, how do I turn my copywriting into a website? What the hell? I got people who hadn't gotten an interview in so long go, is it me? Am I the problem? I'm like, oh no, you're not. Capitalism's a problem. Let's take a look at your work, Oh shit, let's get some standardized margins down here. Here's the block you can use for this and this. I'm seeing variances in copy or variances in font across all your pages. Let's make sure that all your headlines are using an H1 or an H2 or an H3. Hey, this background sequence in this one page is not lining up to the other one. This is a really bad quality picture. What's going on there? Do you have another one? This might be pieces that are really important to you, but they don't really translate in the way you're putting them out. Let's find a better crop, And so conversation through conversation, I realized we're all in a very similar boat. We're all flailing and calling it swimming, and that's okay. And the best thing we can do is just dig into our toolbox for the best looking hammer we've got and say, I've got that. I can help you with that. No one's going to have the one answer except for Matt LeBlanc. But
he didn't with the Joey show. That
he was too good
I believe
for it.
lasted 3 episodes.
He was too good for it. He was too good for it.
He actually was too good for it. It was a terrible show.
100%. Oh, I've never actually seen a single episode of Friends or Seinfeld, but no, no one's going to have the one answer.
Yeah.
But we have our own answer for what might work and how we can get you there in our own little piece. And piece by piece, through community care, through acts of community care in this way.
Yeah.
It's the only way we're going to help each other. No one's coming for us. No one's going to save us. We have to save ourselves and save each other. And this is the only way I knew how to, without taking up a whole new skill. This is what I know how to do.
Cesar, if people want to find more about your work, where do they go to do that?
CesarSierra.net. That's C as in Charlie, E, S-A-R, S as in Sam, I-E-R-R-A.net. That's where I work. That's where I live. That's where I play. That's where all my stuff's at.
You've had the iPad over there next to you this whole time. I'm so curious. Oh, the cats are no longer on it.
No, they were gone
after 3 minutes. I noticed you were tapping it a couple times to keep it away.
Yeah, I was like, and by the time this didn't work anymore, I was like, okay, bye kitties. I mean, cats are here to teach us about boundaries and personal space.
Yes.
By way of 5, 10, 15, 20 little pointy bits. And if I can't exercise that with a laptop or with an iPad how can I dare call myself a cat person?
Cats are very direct communicators
Thank
in that
goodness.
way.
Thank goodness. Somebody has to be.
Yeah.
Portland's not doing it,
No.
so it's fine.
No, we would not have that thing of people getting to intersections at the same time and saying, "You go, you go." If Portland was just full of cats driving,
No, absolutely not. We would zipper like nobody's business.
we sure would.
We would.
I'm also really just loving the Richard Scary Portland that I've invented right now. Cats driving around in little Apple cars.
Of
Sounds
course.
amazing.
A lot of my friends and I say that the reason why we're having such a hard time finding a career is because we were all taught to seek out Richard Scary levels careers. So like, who's the candle maker? Who's the chef? Who's the teacher? Who's the one that drives the Apple car?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we're all having such a hard time.
We're too busy trying to build the Apple car, as in the company. I don't know.
We're too busy cussing out our Tesla trucks, just abandoning us 5 minutes after the dealership.
Yes. Also, apparently, Apple's given up on making a car, and now they're trying to make robots, and I can't figure that one out.
They're
at
both
all.
terrifying concepts. Honestly, can we just drop
none
both
of the
them?
things are good.
Can we just make a good Apple Pencil that holds a charge? Can we do that?
No, they're not allowed to.
Of course not. No.
Illegal. At least it's not the thing. The first generation where you had to plug it into the lightning port of the. What was going on with the Apple port? Because that was also the same era that brought us the mouse that you have to flip over.
I still have one of those.
It's truly.
You have to set it up like a dead roach to like plug it in. Golly, and just watch it teeter.
This is the company we hold up as the apex of design.
That's right. That's where I want to work, right there.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me here, Sean. It was a delight.
Also, hey, thank you to the listeners. If you have a moment of time, there's very few other types of things that are measured in moments. Maybe Jiffy should start measuring things in moments. Maybe that's the solution to their marketing problems. Please rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you hear it. Ratings and reviews in particular are a big help. And sharing the show with a friend is an even bigger one. Spread the good word. If there's maybe somewhere else that you'd rather hear the show, why not visit dididothat.design and check out all the options. That's where you can also find some good images that go along with each and every episode. And get linked out to where we are on LinkedIn, Instagram, and more. I am actually just now realizing I've not been posting new episodes to LinkedIn in a while. I should start doing that again. Whoops, sorry.
The boomers miss you, Sean. The boomers miss you.
We gotta get that boomer audience. This has been Did I Do That? I'm Sean Schumacher, and as we always say at the close of every episode.
Oh shit! What do we say?
That's what we always say. Okay, bye.
Oh shit! What do we say? Let me pull up my horrendous work here that I'll be sharing with you.
I can't imagine it's horrendous.
I want you to. Oh, I'm so ready.
Really?
I really am.
You've got me on tenterhooks.
Oh, it's atrocious. Let me take a moment here to find it. Oh God, is this it? There it is, the ulcer in my eye. Okay, all right, let's go. I'm so excited to share this. I'm so excited. I can't believe I spoke those words.
The ulcer of my eye.
Oh, truly. I found it and sent it to everybody this morning. I was like, you will not believe.
It's going to be really hard to not make the episode title. Ulcer of my eye. That's going to be a problem.